The California Air Resource Board, CARB. It's a part of the California Environmental Protection Agency, and CARB has a nice budget of $800 million. That's pretty good. But $800 million is one thing. Coming up, we'll talk about the huge economic impact that CARB has on the California economy. But before we go into that, there's another little story about that I think you should know about. And to tell it, Adam Kissel of FIRE, the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education. Adam, how are you today?
Doing great, thank you.
I appreciate you being here. Okay, tell us the story of the UCLA professor, James Enstrom. What is he a professor of, and what was his one of his latest research projects?
Well, he studies epidemiology.
I have no idea what that is.
Air pollution and how dangerous it really is for you. And his research has shown pretty clearly that the California Air Resources Board information about mortality from air pollution is way wrong, way exaggerated. And so he, being a good scientist, pointed this out. And to make a long story short, his department, the Environmental Health Sciences Department at UCLA, said, "Oh, you don't fit the mission of our department anymore, so we have to let you go."
Wait, hold on. Back it up. Now, obviously, the mission of the department is academic integrity and sound scientific, the scientific method and moving forward in a proper manner in that way. So obviously, he did something counter to that mission, is what you're talking.
Well,
that's the best response you could give.
He's kind of a whistleblower. He's saying the science that environmental regulation in California is based on is bad science or not good enough to pass scientific muster. So his argument is that the policy for the whole state of California is misinformed. Now, whatever it should be is a political question, but if you're using bad science, that kind of skews your thinking politically. And for things like that, and for pointing out that a CARB member who authored one of the main reports used for environmental regulation had a fake PhD, and for pointing out that members of CARB had served way beyond their statutory limits, they said, "Oh, you don't fit our department mission anymore."
Let's throw out that other guy that you just mentioned. So the scientist who, and that's in air quotes, you can't see, but who was the leader of the study, correct me if I'm wrong here, the leader of the study that our CARB policy is based off of, he is a brilliant man who has a PhD from the finest institution in the world. Tell us about that.
Well, for $1,000, you too can hold this PhD from Thornhill. And it turned out that he didn't have the PhD that he said he had from, I think, UC Irvine. Instead, he had this $1,000 one. And he indeed was the lead author on this CARB report that was used for environmental regulation.
So this guy, PhD for $1,000, has a PhD. He's the lead author. So from that study came all the all the environmental policy that we have from CARB is based off of this study done by this guy who had a PhD for $1,000.
I wouldn't say all of it, but an important part of it, and the key part of it, especially regarding, as so far as I understand, diesel emissions.
Yes, and that's what we're going to talk about coming up in the next segment: the economic impact of that this is going to have on the economy. And what was his? He was, of course, fired from the institution.
Oh well, he still has his job. They demoted him. So not having a PhD or pretending you had a different PhD is apparently not enough to get you fired at CARB. For $800 million, you'd think they could get people with real PhDs.
So you're telling me your professor who performed a actual study, does he have a PhD?
Yeah, he has a real PhD.
Okay, interesting. So he performed a study counter to this guy's results, and he was fired.
That's basically it. They said, you just don't meet the department minimums.
What are the department minimums?
Well, it's funny because they trotted out. They didn't really ever tell him what the minimums were until after he was fired, and then they trotted out this document from 1995, which doesn't even apply to him, and which other members of the faculty don't meet either. And he actually does meet it according to the standard. I mean, that's kind of inside baseball within a department, but he does meet the minimums.
All right, so correct me if you interpret this differently. To me, this says that in California, in the UC system, it's more important that your scientific results are politically correct than scientifically accurate.
When it comes to these political debates, in especially these scientific areas, that's the way it looks from the outside, and I think increasingly from the inside, that's where the data shows.
Where's the support from his UCLA colleagues, not just in this department, but everywhere? I remember in college, everything was completely fair game. Like when I first stepped on campus, the cool thing to do was to hang the American flag upside down outside your dorm room windows. And there was a big to-do about it, obviously. And the justification from the president was it's freedom of speech. And we could talk all morning about the madness of what professors would teach in the classroom, all in the name of freedom of expression and freedom of education, no matter how absurd, no matter how wrong. I mean, like, not factual wrong. But I guess freedom of speech is rather selective, to say the least.
Yeah. We see double standards all the time. And you're right. It's usually the politically incorrect ideas and speech that get oppressed on the college campus.
Why isn't the rest of the UCLA professors stepping up for this?
I think the ones who are on his side think that they might be next. If they stand up for him, well, guess what? We're going to move your office to the smaller office. Yeah. Even though you have tenure, maybe you're going to get a 1% or a 0% raise next year. And so even if you have tenure, you can be punished, and these faculty know it. Now, the good news is that there's an academic freedom committee at UCLA, and they are starting to take some action here, because one of the things that's happening is Professor Enstrom isn't allowed to get new research grants. The department is saying, until we figured out whether you're fully fired and you go through the grievance process, even if you wanted to do more research, we're not going to let you get paid for it.
And this CARB board won't even look at what he's already done?
Well, it's very interesting. CARB recently said, oh, guess what? One of our estimates in pollution was 340% off. Sorry about that.
But the policies remain, I'm sure.
Well, right, and so to go from CARB through the policy all the way up to legislation, and then getting through that whole system takes a long time. And so to undo what's been done is a problem, and it's going to cost California a huge amount of money that, if you care about environmental health, might have been used on something else for public health.
Incredible. All right, Adam Kissel from FIRE. What is the website for FIRE?
TheFire.org.
I love that. I love your guy's name, by the way. TheFire.org, defending individual rights in higher education. Foundation for Individual Rights in Education. Adam, appreciate you very much. Keep up the good work.
Great, thank you.
And give our best to the professor, please. All right, coming up next, CARB. We're going to get more into not the science of it, but the policies of it. What has come out of the study done by the guy with a fake PhD that we all have to live with, and every business in San Diego has to live with. If you're affected by CARB, if you've ever been affected by CARB, give us a call right now, 1-800-760-KFMB. Let us know. Open up the eyes of everyone in San Diego. And if any new regulations are coming down the way and that are going to affect how you do business, let us know that too. 1-800-760-KFMB. We want to be on your side. We want to support you, but we don't know how if we don't know the story. Tell it to us. 1-800-760-5362. This is the Mike Slater Show. Happy Monday.